What's up, guys? It's Alex with Tailwater Fly Shop. Got another 2-material fly for you today. The Tickle Me Elmo. Alright, so hook. My favorite tarpon hook, the SL12S short in 1.0. Pack's getting a little bit light because we've been tying a little bit. So I'm going to start off with some black thread. I don't really care too much about thread color unless I'm tying a black fly, black and red. Then I do like to have a thread that matches. But hey, if I had a bright red thread, then that would work fine too. But for some reason, I don't really care about the thread matching unless it's a black fly. So I'm going to tie on the tail material, and the tail material that we're going to be using is Arctic Fox tail hair. So there's the bag, Arctic Fox tail. So it's different than Arctic Fox body, so make sure that you get the tail. You also could use craft fur for this if you really wanted to, but I like the Arctic Fox tail. I think that it gives a little bit more body without giving more bulk. So that's just why I like it. So I'm gonna cut a piece off. I'm gonna take my little brush comb if I can find it. Actually, I'm going to cut off a new piece. That piece has a little bit of memory from being in the bag, so I'm going to cut off a new piece. The memory would go away as soon as I started fishing it, but for video purposes, I'll get a new piece of it. So and then this is a pretty decent chunk of Arctic Fox. I don't want it to be too crazy thick, but I want it to hold its own, so I'm just going to use my fingers to pluck out the under fur. And I'm going to tie this in probably so it's 2.5 inches off the back of the hook. I'm going to tie it in right on top. And I'm going to, if you hold it straight up and snip it like this, it kind of puts it at a little bit of an angle so you can ramp your thread back down. So and then since this is a tarpon fly primarily, I like to take a little bit of Zap-A-Gap, put it on the tips of the Arctic Fox as well as over the thread wraps, and then I'll wrap over that. So this is a very quick fly. This is a fly that you can tie in unlimited amount of colors. This is a fly you can tie an unlimited amount of weights. I think that this fly would look really cool if it was chartreuse and purple, and instead of like a weightless eye, if you put like a bead chain or a lead eye on it, it could be a Louisiana redfish fly. I'm going to post wrap this tail, so that basically means I'm not going underneath the hook. I'm going just around the tail material, so kind of making like a ponytail out of the tail material, or ponytail, but it's fox, so it just props it up a little bit and keeps it from fouling. So next thing I'm going to tie in, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to leave a little bit of space at the eye. Okay, this is a tarpon fly. I don't have to wrap it all the way up towards the to the eye of the hook. I'm going to leave it right here, and I'm going to tie in. This is the Sightcast. This is their weightless bead chain in black, and this is the large size. You also could just use regular mono eyes, but these weightless bead chain is cool, and they have a little bit bigger profile. But the thing I like about these is they have a rope as a core. And one thing I don't love about the regular mono eyes that are just like mono and plastic across is their tendency to break and their tendency to bend when you're tying them in. These tie in just like regular bead chain. So I'm going to tie these in just like I would regular bead chain, but these are, so it's a rope core, and then the eyes themselves are made out of plastic because I moved the vise all over the place. These are made out of plastic, so I'm just going to wrap them in real good. And then I'm going to wrap back about halfway back between the eyes and the tie-in point for the Arctic Fox. Again, maybe it's a little bit overkill, but there's a little bit of glue in the eyes, just keep them from spinning at all. And then maybe I'll just do a couple wraps over the glue, so I delay the inevitable of gluing my fingers together and gluing our next material to my fingers. So The next material is going to be Sinyo's Laser Dub in red, and this is going to create our. This is going to do three things basically all in one. It's going to create our transition, it's going to create our body, and it's going to create our head. All right. So I'm going to kind of pull this material. I'm going to show you guys. I pull it apart, just trying to kind of stack it almost and lay the fibers parallel to each other. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this material over and kind of wrap it around the hook. I'm going to do a loose wrap around and get a little bit tighter. Then I'm going to take this and brush it back. Okay, wrap in front of it a little bit, and then that's down. And then I'm going to come up, I'm going to whip finish the head. And that is all the tying that I'm going to do for this fly. I'm going to take a little bit more super glue. I'm going to dab it on the thread. And like I said, you can tie this fly in so many different colors. You can tie it in different weights. You can tie it in just whatever you need. I think this fly looks really nice in olive. This fly is a really nice pattern in chartreuse. The nice thing is these eyes that I have on it, okay, they do serve a purpose. It's not just to look cool in the video. It's not just so I can call this fly a Tickle Me Elmo and okay. What they do is they keep this fly buoyant, and they keep this fly riding just underneath the top of the water column, just under the surface. And when you're tarpon fishing, that's really nice to be able to keep your fly above where the fish are. And if your fish are swimming shallow, then you need a fly that's going to swim shallow. So you can see just those two materials, they transition really nice into each other, creates a nice head. But the nice thing about this fly is it has a good profile, but it doesn't have a ton of bulk. And so again, another two material fly, really simple, really easy, and that's the Tickle Me Elmo.